This is Radiant Voices Media.
Welcome to the Paths We Take podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Disanjh. Let's hit a path. Hey there, and welcome back to the Paths We Take podcast. Today's episode is an important one. It's on a topic that doesn't really get discussed that often, and that is men's mental health. I am joined by the Modeo Bros, who are Movember ambassadors and the driving force behind some seriously challenging events that use physical endurance to start real conversations. From extreme runs to community challenges, everything they do is about pushing limits, it's about breaking stigma, and reminding men that it's okay to speak up and ask for support. This conversation isn't just about fitness or fundraising, although we are going to get in all of their madness that they've been up to over the last few years. But it's also about vulnerability, it's about leadership, brotherhood, and using your platform to create a real impact. These guys are showing that strength isn't just physical, it's also emotional, it's honest, and it's also human. So if you've ever struggled with silence, if you've known somebody who struggled in silence, or if you've supported a mate through a hard time or wondered how you could use your own passion to really make a difference, this episode is for you. Without further ado, let's get into today's path. But welcome to the podcast. This is exciting. This is my first time actually with two other people. It's usually one-on-one, so that's quite exciting for me, but welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no dramas. Well, what I want to get started with is essentially if you guys can introduce yourselves, maybe one at a time or both at the same time. It doesn't really matter to me, but introduce yourselves, maybe what you guys have been up to, and we'll kind of go from there, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Riley. From Mount Gambier. Same with Liam here. But recently just been up to a lot of rest last couple of months. Big November.
Yeah.
And then just a bit of rest. Started a new job recently. And getting ready to go on a trip soon.
There you go. Cool. Where are you headed?
Heading to Africa.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Have you been there before?
No.
No.
Got a friend's wedding down in Zimbabwe, so
Okay.
that'll be pretty sensational.
That's quite cool. Is he from here?
She is from over there,
Okay, yeah.
and she come over for uni,
Yeah,
and then
okay.
moved back over a couple
okay.
of years ago, and then
Sweet. Awesome. And what about you, Liam?
Yeah, so I grew up down in Mount Gambier with Riley,
Okay.
and now moved up for uni. I'm an engineer in the city, and just recently got back from Taiwan actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
just been over there in the Christmas break. And,
Yeah.
now back into work, so back to reality.
Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? I was the same boat. I've been away for like the last 4 weeks, and last week was my first week back. And I just say that's a write-off because I was kind of still in vacation mode, and this is the official first week back for me at least. But maybe if you guys don't mind, get into the Modeo Bros, get into what that is and when that started, basically.
Yeah, I'll kick us off. Yeah, so a couple of years ago, it would have been 2023. My old housemate and I sort of had an idea about something we could do for Movember. We'd done it the previous year in 2022, and for me, it was a bit of a kick in the butt about like getting my shit together. Fitness wise, like I was probably coming from a place where I wasn't fit. I didn't enjoy running. Didn't enjoy exercise, and like just I was pretty unhappy at the time, going through a fair bit of a funk. And then a few mates got together and they're like, we're going to do Movember, sign up, grow a moustache. And I was like, okay, cool, I can do that. Like, can't grow a moustache very well, but like can try to raise some money. And then didn't realize that there was a fitness component to it. And so when you sign up on the page, you go, I'm going to do X amount of kilometers for the month. And I was like, oh, okay, I've said I'm going to do Movember. I might as well not half-ass it and, set the target at like 100 Ks or something for the month. And so just started running. And then from there, it really enjoyed it. Went out to a few different communities, met a lot of people, started doing a few triathlons because a couple of the boys were like, we're doing this. Do you want to come join in? And I was like, sure, why not? And then it got to about April 2023 and Finn, my housemate, and I were like, let's do something that's a little bit different. We sort of had the idea about doing an event every weekend of Movember. And the whole premise of us at the start to do that was to sort of do crazy stuff every weekend and sort of get the conversation started that way by being like, if you and your mates are talking and you knew us, and you'd be like, oh, hey, have you heard about what these boys are going to do in November? Like they're doing this. And then the conversation would be like, well, why are they doing that? We're doing it for men's mental health. And so that was the first year. Every weekend we did 2 challenges on the Saturday, one on the Saturday, one on the Sunday for the whole month. And like loved it. Like we met a whole bunch of new people. And just like the whole community, especially like Prospect Run Club, the gyms and stuff in Prospect really got around us. And we're like, oh, like shit, like that was a lot of fun. Like had a fair bit of like good community. Let's do it again. And then that's when Becky and then James, one of the other boys in the group, they were like, oh yeah, we'll jump on board and we'll see what we can do this year in 2024. And I guess that's when you jumped in.
No, I just saw what Riley and Finn were doing. And yeah, obviously good mates with Riley and thought, why not get involved? Like the amount of people that come out from the community to support it, just get out there, get around each other and just bring other people that you haven't met. Like there's people coming out to some of our events that no one knows at all there. They've just seen us on, Instagram or something like that. And yeah, next minute they're there doing the whole Goggins challenge for the whole weekend, spending 48 hours with us.
That's quite phenomenal, isn't it? Like it takes a lot of courage for somebody who doesn't know you or anybody else in the group to come out and be like that, really. Yeah,
exactly. And yeah, a lot of the challenges are uncomfortable, physically and also sort of mentally. A lot of the challenges are sort of, pushing past those sort of barriers that if you're training for something, you're just going to be sort of, working within what you feel like you can do. But a lot of the challenges that we sort of have been doing are sort of pushing past that and getting to a level where, it's really tough, both mentally and physically. And I guess that's when it sort of starts getting real and it's been great.
So when did the concept, like the group and the whole, I guess, concept of the Modeo Bros and everything come into actually vision?
That would have been 2023. Okay. So we sat down and we were like, yeah, we're going to do this. We'd seen the Goggins challenge online. And for like, if you don't know what that is, it's 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And David Goggins was the bloke that was like, yeah, everyone should do this. Everyone like this, how you prove how hard you are. And we're like, yeah, we'll do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. It wasn't. But no, like that was sort of what we started and we were like, well, all right, well, why don't we do something else the weekend before, which was like a triathlon. And then we're like, okay, we'll do a half marathon too. And then, we'll do a marathon the last weekend. And then we're like, oh, that probably sounds a bit easy. Like, why don't we just do one Saturday and Sunday? And then from there, that's sort of how the premise of what we do in Movember sort of started was like, just do the hard stuff and just show up. Like no one expects us to be doing it in any record time, but like just do it. And then these boys jumped on last year. 2024 now. And we sort of just thought, oh, well, why not double it again and raise the stakes even higher? And so we're pretty sore boys at the end of it, but that's sort of the sort of mentality that we had throughout the whole thing was how can we, one, grow this? How can we project what we've been doing the last couple of years into something that, one, people can join in when possible? Obviously, no one really wants to give up their whole weekend to go jump in, but they can come in for one run, 2Ks if that's all they want, and that's perfectly fine. And two, how can we like make it as enjoyable as we can and like get a lot of people around it so that it's not just like us in the dumps. And like that's the whole point of it. Like the community brings you up.
Absolutely. And I think too, like, for you guys to be doing something like a challenge every weekend or like something as massive of what you guys were doing, you need to have that drive and you need to have a bit of a purpose and a backstory there as well. Otherwise, I mean, I think like we've discussed this on the podcast, motivation versus habit and everything. And I think this is a story where, maybe motivation does drive you a little bit more because, there's a purpose behind what you're doing. So for you guys, what was that purpose and what was that drive, do you think? early on, and how did that, I guess, evolve over the challenges that you've done?
Mm, good question.
Yeah, very good question.
Yeah.
Um, I guess like the motivation's definitely always been Movember and raising money towards supporting that.
Yeah.
For me personally, it was like a bit of a kick into action like all those years ago, and being like, if like you should go out there and do something, and then hopefully motivate someone else to do it.
Yeah.
But also once you put it on social media, like you,
The whole world is
yeah,
yeah, your oyster,
pretty,
really.
you're held pretty accountable. Like that if you don't succeed on the weekend, like people will understand. Like people are very encouraging, especially like in our circles. But like the pressure's on ourselves a bit. I don't know if you felt that, Bex, but
Yeah, a little bit. It's just sort of putting yourself out there, really. I've had plenty of mates and family and friends and everyone that have gone through some pretty tough times, and sort of having that Movember support and what they do in the community is sort of the main reason I got involved and sort of the main driver for it. I think some of the initiatives and everything that they've got going and sort of raising money for that is the main thing for me. And yeah, just trying to, I know it's pretty cliche, but breaking the stigma and starting the conversation. It can be one conversation that sort of gets someone on the right path. And yeah, it doesn't have to be one of your friends. It could be just someone that comes out and gets involved and they're struggling. Yeah.
And especially around men's mental health, I think that is still a bit of a stigma. Like it's not talked about. It's not something that I think men feel comfortable talking about. So I think doing it in a way that you have been doing it was quite good and quite interesting as well, because I think it is a way to, yeah, raise awareness, but also maybe to get somebody a bit more vulnerable because they're out there, they're being maybe physically vulnerable. And I think that can like blossom into other vulnerabilities as well. And I think that's the hardest thing, like you were saying, that going back to the example of just somebody coming out there that's a complete stranger, that's being vulnerable, and they're out there for a reason, whether it be to share their story, whether it be to be around others who are in the same story. You just don't know. And I think like creating a space for that is quite important in this day and age, basically. Let's go into some of the things that you guys have done. I know it's been a lot, but thinking back over the years, I guess what's been the highlights? Maybe talk about a little bit of what you've been up to and maybe the top 3 highlights over the years.
Yep. Yeah, I think personally, 2024, my first year of Modeo, there was a lot of highlights and, plenty of tough times in those challenges. I think the 100K that we did with the More Than a Run. So that day we started at, I think it was at 3 a.m., I think, to try and get in a fair few Ks before they started the Movember More Than a Run. And just the amount of people that, came out and ran a little bit with us, or we had people dropping off, bags of Zupa Dupas and heaps of stuff just to try and get us through. I think that was something like a 14-hour stint, getting the 100Ks done. Pretty tough physically and mentally. But it's those sort of tough challenges when you realise, I guess how tough it is, and sort of some of those conversations start, when you're in a vulnerable physical position, it sort of gets the conversation started and people open up a little bit as well, I think.
I think too, like if you're showing that you're being vulnerable as well, like it's kind of like a catch take as well. Like, others will feel comfortable as well, potentially. Like you have to create a space, right? And I think that's the hardest thing for people to come out and maybe share a story or be vulnerable, is there might not be that space. And, if you're creating that space, then great. It just, people can do what they want with that, really. When it comes to that 100K challenge, what were some of the things that you guys learned about yourself, do you think?
I think you definitely learn, no matter sort of where you think your barriers are individually, you can still definitely push past them. Like I know going into it, you know, you're like, oh, I think I've got this in me. But when push comes to shove and you're sort of starting to feel pretty down, I know at the sort of 60K mark, I hadn't probably eaten enough or drank enough, and you sort of start feeling pretty average, and you're like, oh, I don't know whether I've got this in me. But then, you know, you find a second wind, and next minute you're at 80 Ks, and then you're like, I've got 20 to go. This is, you know, I'm nearly there. But yeah, you can always just sort of find that next gear, I guess, and push past that limit.
Yeah, for sure. What about yourself?
Yeah, pretty similar. The first year that we attempted the 100 Ks, I didn't even get through it. I had really bad hip. So I was pretty adamant that this last year I was going to get it done. But similar to Liam, like, yeah, you get halfway through and you're just like, what am I doing? And you're like, I've still got a marathon and some to go. But like, what helped me throughout the whole run was that there was people with me basically the whole time. I think I might have spent 10 Ks by myself. And like, I went to the bakery at one point, went and got a coffee with a couple of people, like ran up there, ran back. And the whole time they're sitting there just being like, what you're doing, it's just like, it's helping. Like, you're doing a great job. You're having some really good conversations with people. And just like the amount of people that come out and like, you just run past them and like, oh, what are you up to? And I was like, oh, I'm 60 Ks into a run. And they're like, oh my God, like I'm going to come join you for like a lap of the uni loop or like a lap of the Torrens that we're doing. It was pretty cool to see the reach and the impact that like people just on their daily life were just like, oh damn, I'm going to join in that sounds cool. So yeah, but then like, yeah, personally, yeah, just pushing the limits. I never thought that I'd be doing 100 Ks in one weekend, but yeah, last year, like, was lucky enough to do it consecutive weekends against my physio's best wishes, but love you loose, but.
All right, I want to talk to you about sunglasses made for runners by runners. That's why I wear Re Your Run sunglasses. Lightweight, zero bounce, and they stay locked in even when you are sweating through speed sessions, long runs, out in the sun, whatever it might be. They are stylish enough for daily wear, durable enough for race day, and just the perfect combo. Honestly, I love brands that get the sport, get the grind, and support the running community, not just the podium finishers. If you're serious about your run gear and want shades that perform as hard as you, go check out Re Your Run. Use my code Jordan10 to save some money and get yourself some stylish sunnies that actually perform and look good. Run smart, stay protected, look good doing it with Re Your Run sunnies. Yeah. What kind of things do you think got you through? Like, we went back to and we discussed purpose and motivation before, but you know, I think back to a few years ago, I did the 777 challenge, like 7 marathons in 7 days, and I think like you need to have, again, like I remember day 3 was the hardest for me. That was the day where I was like, oh, if I don't finish this, like, is it really like, does it really matter? You know what I mean? Like, what kind of got you through? Because I'm sure there were times through those, 100 kilometers that, oh, I've done 30 or I've done 50. Is that good enough? So what kind of got you through that mindset, or was that not an option at all?
I think, yeah, I don't know if I let that really enter my head.
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
I think I said to Jim at about, I think it was about 55 Ks, I was like, mate, my foot is really sore. Like, I'm not sure if I'll get through this. But then like as soon as I said that, I was like, nah, like, what are you doing? Like, you got it in you. You could take another 10 hours to do 40 Ks walking. You're still going to do it.
Yeah.
Which I think sort of speaks to the gym and my physio who was there on the day and been like, I'm going to tape your foot and make sure you get it done properly.
Yeah.
That the people there, like, they just, because you're there and you're talking to someone the whole time, you're distracted. And as soon as you get a little bit of doubt and you start like mentioning it, they're like, it's okay if you stop, but like, we really, like, we believe in you.
Yeah.
So like, it's genuinely the people that get you through it. It's as cliche as it sounds, it's the community that get around you.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Really. What about yourself?
Yeah, 100%. It's sort of, as soon as you let a little bit into your mind about the sort of negatives, you can, fester it internally, and it just it grows. But I think, as Riley said, just like having a conversation with someone just takes your mind off all the pain you're going through, or, takes your mind off your foot that's sore, or whatever it is. And I think, I've always had in the back of my mind in a lot of these sort of things, it's like I've had like a family friend or someone like that that's struggling and is, doing it tougher than me. And it's like, I've always sort of got that in the back of my mind a little bit of like, they're doing it tougher. Like, you can get through this. Like, if you've got a bit of a sore foot, like, just push through it, because what you've got going on is nothing compared to these other people. So
yeah, I think that's an amazing point there, because again, it goes back to your purpose, and it goes back to, what you're there for. Like, I just find that concept quite interesting, because again, on this podcast, we've talked so much about motivation versus habit, and how motivation always fails, yada yada yada. But like, I think in this example, like I've alluded to, like, it's almost the opposite in a sense. Like, you can't create that habit of running, or you could maybe running 100 kilometers every weekend or whatever. But, it is that purpose and that drive, what you're working towards, that awareness. And I think too, sometimes when it's bigger than you, that's a bit of a drive as well. Like, yeah, you're doing 100 kilometers, but it's not, like, anybody could wake up in the morning and decide to do 100 kilometers, but not everybody could decide to do it for, a cause. You know what I mean? So I think that's quite interesting as well. When it came to that 100K, what are some things that came up during it? I know you were mentioning your foot and that kind of stuff, but was there any other like things that you kind of had to get over when it comes to injury, or when it comes to nutrition, or any of that?
yeah, I know definitely like nutrition was a big thing for some of those events. I didn't feel well at all. I sort of probably did. There was between sort of 30 and 60 where I didn't eat a lot. And then I got to the 60 and I was, feeling lightheaded and dizzy. And I was like, just sat down for a minute, just ate a heap and got a heap of fluids in and that sort of thing. But it was also a pretty warm day. So like some of the weekends doing it in November, we've had some pretty rough weather. We had the Goggins challenge in 2024 where we had thunderstorms, lightning, and I think it was 38 during the day. And yeah, there was absolutely bucketing down with rain, and it was just pretty tough. We woke up at 2 a.m. to do one of those runs, and we're all in our swags in the gym. We've all looked at each other and gone, I don't know whether we should be doing this run, like there's lightning outside. And then next minute, the people still start showing up at 2 a.m. And you're like, well, they're here, we're doing it.
Yeah. Oh, sweet. Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, pretty similar. It's just as much recovery as what I could get over the whole thing. But yeah, like nutrition, for being like people that I don't know about Liam, but my training plan in the lead up was only like 15, 20 Ks a week, and like nothing crazy. So yeah, just eating as much as I can, and just like I had James drop off a couple of bottles of Powerade at one point. I was like, mate, please.
Yeah, I need something, anything really. Yeah. All right, let's talk about supplements that actually earn a spot in my routine. Not hype, just results. I love the Tropica matcha because I love clean energy without the crash. But also I like how this matcha is smooth, it's not bitter, and I genuinely look forward to having it every day. There's also the pineapple creatine. Creatine isn't just for muscle performance, you guys. There is more research coming out about how it supports mental clarity, mood, etc., etc. If you train, think, move, breathe, you should be taking creatine, in my opinion. At nighttime, I also love their beauty custard. It legit tastes like dessert and supports recovery while I sleep. It is collagen, so it's great for the skin, the hair, joints, longevity. Both men and women, everybody should be taking collagen. You guys can use my code JORDSDAY10 at checkout to save yourself some money. That's JORDZDAY10 at checkout. JORDSDAY10. Thank you, everybody. What were some other highlights? So you did the 100Ks. What were some other things that you've been up to over the years?
I think last year, one of my personal highlights was we reached out to Movember, and last year we were recognised as Movember ambassadors, the Modeo Bros as a whole, which was an insane experience. They flew myself over to Melbourne, and just like met 40, 50 other people from around Australia who were doing really cool things. And like that was a pretty cool experience. And from that, we were able to bring that back to Adelaide with a Modeo Bros times Movember men's speaking event. And we held that at the Prospect Town Hall, and we had like 70 to 80 people come in from all around SA, and had Steve speak there and a few others from around the community. And it was just like really wholesome. Like the conversations that were being had there was truly special, and like connected a few people to like Breakthrough Foundation were there and all their work they do with men's mental health. And like John Mannion was there speaking. Lisa was there. She was fantastic. But just like being a part of that, like bringing people into a room for the one purpose of talking about men's health and just connecting with each other. Like there was people from up in Nairn who had been doing Movember for 5 or 6 years, and like just having a chat to them and hearing their stories about how they've gone through their own mental health battles and now they're on the other side, like was like I had goosebumps. I'm getting like goosebumps talking about it now. There was a fella coming up and telling his story, and then he messaged us afterwards and was like, I absolutely loved it. Like, let me know about your next time you guys do something like this. I would love to be there. And I was like, wow, like that was pretty nuts. And like Movember's support there, like the whole way, they were like, yep, whatever you need, we'll do it. They were like, this is your event, but we'll support with everything that you need. And we'll fly over a couple of fellas. And like, yeah, that was a massive highlight for myself. It was the fact that we just sort of built out ourselves, and we're like, we're going to do this, and sort of, did really well. So that was cool.
Was there anything that surprised you guys? Like anything that you learned, whether it comes to, stigma when it comes to mental health or just yourselves in general? What surprised you and what did you learn over this experience up until this point?
Surprises, I think, dude, honestly, like the stats are always so surprising. And like the stigma itself, like it's slowly in my circles or the people that I talk to, it's slowly getting a little bit better. But it's really slow. And I think that's probably the surprising thing is that like all the people that you talk to and you do all this stuff, and like even for myself, like I still feel that like I do a lot of this with this work and like I love doing it and it's for such a great cause. But then even sometimes I'm like, I really don't want to go talk to someone about this because like I don't want to burden them. But it's like, well, hang on, like you've just gone out and done all this to be a role model, and then you get back to it and you're like, oh, actually, I don't want to burden someone. You're like,
I think that's an unfortunate thing, right? You don't want to seem like you're coming across as burdening other people. You don't want to seem like you are, oversharing, quote unquote, as well. When again, like you might be helping yourself or you might be helping somebody else sharing that story as well. And you just don't know unless you've gone out and done it, really. Is there anything that surprised you over these past few years or?
Yeah, I think just like the amount of people that I've known for years, growing up and mates and that sort of thing, that you don't actually understand like what they're going through, and like they haven't sort of opened up to you over the years. And I think it's just like once they're in the right space and, they feel comfortable in where they are, they can open up. And sort of as they learn more about it and, as everyone sort of understands everything a little bit more, I think it's sort of the whole way through. I haven't understood the amount of people, that are actually going through this. Like when you think about it and you look around, like say the office that I work in, and you think about how many people, the percentages of how many people are actually going through a really tough mental health battle themselves that you're just completely unaware of. It's pretty crazy, and it definitely surprises me.
And that's an interesting point as well, because I think too, like, when it comes to like, you don't know what's going on behind closed doors a lot of the times, right? It's like LSKD, that last, I don't know if you've seen that for Movember, that Instagram clip that they posted,
Yeah.
I think went viral, like the two runners or whatever. Like you just don't know what's going on behind closed doors. You know, people can put up a smile or a good front, but you don't always know behind the scenes what's going on. And I think too, like if we all just understood a little bit more that, you know, people are going through something or anything really, you know, they could be going through this or that. Like, I think there would be a little bit more, less hate in the world, but also more understanding as well. Because again, like, you just don't know if somebody's had a bad day or if they've just like, you know, crashed their car or if they've done this or that. Like, they could put up a good front or they could be super angry and you could like, you know, spend that 30 seconds judging them, but like, that could not be a representation of who they are as a person. They might have just had like a really bad day. And unfortunately, that's come across on you, really. When it comes to, I guess, like, if we had a person listening right now who maybe wants to start something, who wants to maybe, you know, do something similar, raise awareness or whatever, what tips do you have for that person when it comes to, you know, them wanting to get out there and be more vocal or just start a community or do something similar?
Honestly, just give it a crack. Yeah, I think that's probably the main thing. And have a chat to people that are like-minded. Like for Finn and I, our first year doing it, like we had no idea what we were doing, but talking to people that sort of backed you in, that was massive for us. The fact that they were like, no, you're not crazy. Like we'll support you through it. And then like bringing Liam and James in 2024, like having those guys want to jump in and like join us was massive for our confidence and being like, yeah, this is real. Like this is awesome. That this is the impact we're having, that people want to come and join us. So like that's probably my tip. Just do it. And you know, do whatever's going to be authentic to you. Like we don't post anything that, you know, we wouldn't be like enjoying ourselves doing. Like it's not like we're sitting there forcing ourselves to go and do it. I think that's probably the main thing that people enjoy, is that we've been pretty authentic with the experience. People come in and we don't really change. Like we could have nobody rocking up to our things and it'd just be the same thing. So
What about you, Ian?
Yeah, I think like you find out so much more about yourself when you get uncomfortable. So if you think that you want to do something, but you're not sure if you can actually do it, like just give it a crack. Like, what do you have to lose, really? At the end of the day, like if you go out there and you know you can't get through a challenge because you know it's crazy, like what have you lost? Like no one's going to judge you for it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think too, like sometimes we're lost in this fear of like, oh, everybody is watching, everybody's paying attention and everybody cares. And yeah, there are select people, but like not everybody is, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a fear that a lot of people has, is if I go out and I say that I'm going to do something, you know, like the whole world is watching, and it's really not like that, really. And the people that are watching are usually like your supporters, really. So I think that's probably a good thing to maybe keep in the back of the mind. But when it comes to fear, like, you know, when it comes to fear of opening up, when it comes to the fear of maybe starting a challenge, or just the fear in general of being more vocal or sharing a story or whatever it might be, how do you guys get over the fear of starting something or being vocal or sharing or whatever it might be? How do you handle fear?
Oh, good one.
I know.
Exposure. I think that's probably a big one.
Yeah.
For me personally, like a few years ago, like I would never be doing something like this. I was like, I would actively avoid public speaking. Like every time I'd go up, I'd feel like my voice was cracking and I'd be like on the verge of tears. And then I put myself in a position with my college to be the president of our old collegians. And in that role, you have to public speak. And I was like, okay, you've put yourself in this position, do something about it. And so like I've taken a few tips from people. I talk to people that I know who are really good in the space. I say, hey, help me. Like I really struggle with this. Can you help me? Can you help me? And they're like, okay, these are my 3-4 tips. See if any of them work for you. If not, we'll work through it. And from there, like it's sort of just a confidence thing. it's just for me in this situation, like public speaking, and then what's now led to it is like speaking about Movember and speaking to a lot of people about it. Yeah, those tips are still resonating through that. So that's what works for me to get through the fear. And like even for a big challenge, it's like do the things that you know work. It's a few deep breaths, just talking to myself a bit. So
How do you get through fear?
Sort of like a couple of years ago, I sort of wanted to, put myself out there a little bit more, and I sort of said to myself, if an opportunity comes up, whether it be with work or whether it be, a challenge or something personally, like I'll just give it a crack and say sort of yes. Whether it be going on a work trip or having to do something that you're not used to or something that is out of your comfort zone. Just if you do it and you don't enjoy it, then nothing ventured, nothing gained, sort of thing. Like if it's something that's tough, like give it a crack. I don't know. Like I was in a similar boat to Riley. I used to hate public speaking. You'd get up there and the hands are shaking like crazy, and I'm like, oh, don't like this, and what do people think about me, and But these days I'm like, I don't really care, like what other people will think about me. Like if someone sees like us doing a Modeo video or and we're having a laugh or doing something stupid, like at the end of the day I don't really care. Like it's sort of I know like my friends and family and everyone that supports me will support me. Like if there's always going to be someone out there that's going, oh, what's he doing? Like is it like
That's anybody in life, really.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
But like I've sort of come to terms with just not caring about it. Like don't get hung up on it. Like as you sort of mentioned before, someone could be having a bad day and you're just copping the brunt of it. Like sort of don't take it personally, because if you let that sort of stuff get you down, then you're going to be in the same sort of mood that they are, and they'll bring you down with them. But like don't take it personally and just go with the flow.
And I think it's a skill, right? Like it's like what you were saying too, rinse and repeat. Like just like anything, you have to go through those experiences. You have to maybe put yourself out there to, practice that and to, maybe be okay with just not caring, and like I think that's something that like the person listening right now might be like, oh, well, how do I get to that? How do I get to like not caring, right? And I think it goes back to like what both of you were saying. Like if you put yourself in situations and you rinse and repeat, yes, it's uncomfortable. But unfortunately, I think sometimes that's what gets you to that stage of just, you're going to get to the stage when then you don't care and you have more fun maybe in life or whatever it might be. But what does leadership mean to you both?
I guess there's many different types of leadership. I guess like one thing is sort of like being a role model and, not necessarily, you don't need to be the type of person that people want you to be. Like be who you want to be, and lead in that way. You don't have to be, up there public speaking, doing like starting all these big initiatives in the community. Just be who you want to be and lead in that sort of way, I guess.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I think you've said that really well, really nicely, Liam. For me, like being a leader isn't like those people that's going above and beyond and they do those crazy things like once every now and then. It's like the people that are being authentic to themselves and like have a genuine care for like a group of people. Like the best leaders that I've worked with or witnessed are the people that actually take the time to, when no one's watching, just like have a chat to you, find out what's going on and, really get to know the person that they're trying to lead rather than like the leader people as a whole. Like at footy clubs, the people that I look up to are people that really get a feel of what's going on and like they'll talk to like the person that's playing the lowest grade of footy or they'll talk to the person that's playing the highest grade of footy and they don't care. Like they treat everybody the same. I think that's what really speaks powerfully to a leader. It's just like their care and their authenticity to themselves.
Yeah. I think again, it goes back to like what you were saying too, Liam. Like you have to be yourself really and be okay with that. Like I think too, like leadership is quite. That's why I like this answer because to everybody, a good leader means something different. And I think like for you to put yourselves in this situation, sorry, that you guys have, you need to have some idea of what a leader is. Otherwise, you wouldn't have these people coming, out with you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be raising awareness or whatever. But when it comes to leadership, would that be your answer now? Or would that be your answer, sorry, like prior to this journey? Or is that an answer because of everything that you've experienced, do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely probably what I thought a leader was, 10 years ago or even probably 5 years ago has changed. Like I know growing up, you sort of think of as a leader as, growing up playing lots of footy, you'd think that a leader is, potentially the best player in the team. And that's sort of where, growing up playing footy in juniors, it probably was your captain was probably the best player on the team. But, that's not necessarily the best leader at all. I think for me, I've sort of found that the best leader is, someone that can, get along with everyone, as Riley was sort of saying, and, bring the best out of everyone. They don't have to be, the most highly skilled at something but making sure that everyone sort of feels comfortable to give it a crack and do their best, I think is what, a leader does.
On the low days that you guys have, on days where it's hard to get out of bed, on days where you're tired, on days where that motivation might be lacking, what gets you up and what do you think gets you going and finishing the day, basically?
For me, it's a bit of a responsibility, like personal responsibility. Especially nowadays, like 3-4 years ago, it used to be like if I had a big night and I was hungover, I was just like, oh, let's just rot in bed all day. But nowadays it's like, nah, like, get out there and enjoy the day. Like it's a lovely day outside no matter what's going on. Like you can go to the gym, you can have a conversation with someone. I think I've said it way too many times, but like genuinely like people, like community, like I go to a gym in Prospect, Revel Prospect, and like the people there are genuinely like I get out of bed because I'm like, I'm genuinely excited to go and chat to these people. And like similar, like just, same with work. Like if I have to go to work, I'm like, I'm never dreading it. I'm always like, I'm actually excited to go and hang out with these people today and enjoy myself.
Yeah, sweet. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think like everyone has those days where, you're not looking forward to, going to work like, oh yeah, I'd love to stay in bed or, that sort of thing. And I think you've always sort of, I think personally, like I've always got a goal or, you've got something that you're working towards and you always know that, if you're having a rough day, like I know that the people around me will, bring up the mood and, then it's going to be a good day sort of thing. Like, and I think if you're working towards something, whether it be personally or, like physically or something like that, that sort of helps me and gives me the motivation to, like, oh, I've got a marathon coming up that I'm working towards. Like, if I miss a session here, like, it's gonna, I'm not gonna do as well as I want to. So it's sort of having a goal and having a purpose, I think, is something that, has helped me.
How do you guys pick the challenges that you are doing? So how does that come to be?
What's the
Close your eyes and throw it.
Yeah. Literally out of a hat? Or?
Yeah.
What are some of the toughest things we can think of?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was probably it. Like we hear a few things about what people think are hard, and like a lot of people send us stuff over the year, and they're like, "Oh, this would be cool for you boys to do," and it's like, "Oh, that actually sounds really awful." But yes, that's generally it. Just like things that are like not achievable. A lot of them are quite unachievable, but things that are going to be hard, and just things that are going to enjoy, like bring people in. Like like this year, having the 24 hours at the Indie Loop, we did that 2024, and it was just us four, Finn, Liam, James, and myself, and like we were like, okay, how can we bring a lot more people on and make it a bit more enjoyable? Like, so it's still like an awful thing, but a lot more fun. But yeah, picking it, I guess, like genuinely, like I said before, like after the first year, we were just like, let's double it, and so we doubled it, and then that was not nice. And then last year we were like, all right, how can we be a bit more consistent and bring more people to our events? Like people know we're going to be doing X, Y, Z, or like assuming that we're going to do the same. So how can we make sure that people can actually jump in and join us for these events?
I think that's interesting, like that concept, running towards the hard, running towards discomfort, because that's not a common thing. I think naturally people might run away from discomfort. We don't want to put ourselves in situations like that. Is that something that you guys feel like you've always had around you, running towards discomfort when you think about, your past even before all of these challenges? Or how did you get to that mindset, do you think, running towards discomfort and running towards hard things?
Yeah, I don't think I was probably. I definitely didn't run towards discomfort before. You sort of can sometimes stay within your limits, and oh yeah, I know where my limits are. Like I'll stick to that. But sort of when you get into it and you start pushing yourself further, that's when you actually find those limits. And I think now, like after all these challenges, I've got a much greater appreciation for sort of what pain is and what discomfort actually is. Which I definitely didn't have before.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it goes back to like, you have to just put yourself out there and experience it really. Otherwise you won't learn those hard things really. What about yourself?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty similar. I think Liam touched on it before. It's like knowing what you're actually doing it for, and then like the rest is sort of you just rock up and you do it because you know that what you're doing on the day is for a much bigger reason than just what you're going to be putting your body through. You're going to be in a lot of pain and it's going to suck, but I think probably Ned Brockman says it like there is like a limit to it. Like you're going to be feeling really uncomfortable for a certain amount of time, but it's going to stop at some point. Whereas if you think about it for the bigger picture, like some people are just going through it day in, day out. Like we're doing it for a weekend. And then like a few more sessions with the physio, but like people are going through this like their whole lives, which is just like really tough. And so if you can raise awareness for it on one weekend and go through a really uncomfortable situation, then sure, like that's awesome that we can do that.
I think that's so interesting. Like, I think for you to, again, put yourself through situations like that, like it's just an interesting concept because again, I think naturally we shy away from the discomfort and we shy away from, hard things, quote unquote. But you kind of like, I like that answer because like I think they were two similar answers but different as well. And that's, I think, an important concept is I think everybody needs to maybe find their own path on getting through the discomfort and getting through that journey really, because it's not cookie cutter for everybody. And it's just like, I'm sure you guys have heard numerous stories because everybody has a different story and everybody's probably gotten to that story or that path a different, we're all different in our own way in that sense. So when it comes to future, what are your goals when it comes to like, not necessarily like the Modeo Bros, but just in life? What do you think you want out of what you're doing right now and all of the drive that you're going for?
Good question.
Yeah.
I think one thing that we definitely tried to bring in this year was sort of making it a lot more inclusive. Like you don't need to be a runner or, do something, physically to make yourself, out of your comfort zone and become uncomfortable. I think it can be, it can be something completely different. It doesn't have to be physically. Like even if it's just, coming out and being around us for 24 hours at the uni loop and that sort of thing, I think there's multiple different levels of uncomfortable that you can be in. You don't necessarily have to be just putting yourself through pain.
Yeah, absolutely. What about yourself?
For the future, personally, like I just want to keep getting better at like keep improving myself in different ways, and just basically being a better leader, I think is probably my goal, and just having a good impact on people around me. For the Modeo Bros, for the future, we've been talking about it. We haven't planned anything yet because it's a little bit too early. But I'd love for a way that we could be having these conversations and having this impact outside of just Movember. Like, as great as it is, not enough people probably know that Movember actually is run year round. And for us, like, even if it's like once a month or once every couple of months, like getting a group together and having a chat about it or going for a run, I think that would be pretty special and have a really nice impact into sort of the stuff we're doing within Adelaide and SA. So.
Is there anybody in particular, or any other groups or things like that you guys look up to, that you guys maybe take inspiration from? Is there anybody in that space?
For me, yeah. There's well, actually, I'm wearing their shirt.
Okay, there we go. Yeah,
yeah. The Modeo Bros. So a group of fellas down in Tassie, just started doing Movember 20 years ago. They celebrated their 20th year, and they do it sensationally. Like, the whole of Tasmania, like, around them basically, and they run the Point to Pinnacle every year, which is the world's toughest half marathon. Like, a lot of elevation, things like 1,200 meters over 21 k's, and just the sort of stuff they're doing for Movember down in that neck of the woods is crazy. Like, they're hosting like massive like parties, like 300 people plus parties, and like, yeah, it's nuts the impact that they're having down there. So they're a massive inspiration. And like being able to meet them this year was like pretty sensational, and being on a few Zoom calls with them. So that's for me is a massive inspiration.
Yeah, I think the exposure that we've got sort of with the ambassador program with Movember has been great. Like, the amount of people that we've sort of seen be like and met and spoken to that are doing amazing things in the mental health space. And yeah, I guess not only Movember. Like, there's lots of other great charities out there that are doing great work. And I think, yeah, seeing some of the programs, and I guess getting a bit more of an understanding of, everyone raises money for these charities and everything, but understanding the backstory behind it and what programs they've got in place and that sort of thing gives you a greater appreciation for how much they're actually doing.
I usually start with this question, but we're going to end with it today. If the listener listening right now had an autobiography, you guys can each take turns, and it was an autobiography of you guys, of course. What are some things that people would find in that autobiography that you think, are key moments?
In mine, it'd be a pretty interesting story. I feel like at the start it'd be pretty quiet, not really going in and looking for too much trouble, especially when I was younger. And then my move to Adelaide would probably be pretty formative for me, like moving into residential college and meeting a lot of really strong role models who I've sort of not taken after, but taken a lot of lessons from. And then ever since then, it's just been few troughs, definitely through there. But a lot of opportunities where, like, I've just said yes, even though I've been super uncomfortable, like picking up things, and like, it's been some of the best memories for me is like last year, just saying yes to coaching a footy team at Adelaide Uni. Didn't know a single one of the blokes, but I was like, yeah, sure, I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's get uncomfortable, and absolutely loved it. So yeah. Does that answer it?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's open to interpretation, right?
Yeah.
So what about yourself, Liam?
Yeah, I think as a kid, I was sort of the standard, like, country sort of love every sport. Like, everyone, you love footy, you love cricket, basketball, anything I could get my hands on. And I think one of a pretty tough period in my life was I was 10, and I had a pretty major leg surgery, broke both my femurs and everything. And I had to have 6 months off sport. I was in a wheelchair for a month, and then after that, sort of had to learn how to walk again, and that sort of played a big role in my life and sort of how I've come to be, I guess. Like, I wouldn't be where I am today, doing all the running and everything. Like I used to trip over my feet as a kid. But even just like the amount of support at a young age at 10, like you realise how much support and how many people are around you. Like I was in a wheelchair for a month, and you know your mates are pushing you around in a wheelchair at school, helping you in and out of the car, and it sort of gives you a greater perspective of everything. And I think I was lucky enough to sort of have that as a kid. At the time, it was pretty shit and pretty rough, and you sort of go, why me? But you look back on it now and you go, I'm actually way better for that. And then obviously, moving up to Adelaide was a big move. But I think, moving up with friends sort of made it a lot easier. And similar to Riley, I moved into a residential college, and just like the amount of people and, you know, coming from diverse situations and places around Australia and even the world, like just gives you a greater perspective for everything. But I think even in the last few years, like there'd be a fair bit in my autobiography. I think like a few years ago, I was still playing footy, loved it. I hadn't played many games over the years, a fair few injuries in a row, and then you come to the realisation of, you know, there's more to life than footy when you start sort of going through like concussions and that sort of thing. Growing up, I thought, you know, I want to just play footy. I want to play for my local club, and I want to play, you know, 400 games like my old man, which, you know, that was always the dream. But you now sort of realise that there's way more to life than footy and sport and that sort of thing. And it's just finding that other purpose. And I think sort of what we've got going and what we've started with Movember is sort of, you know, giving me another purpose. It's another string to the bow sort of thing. And it just sort of, it gives you something else to sort of get out of bed for, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And how has your guys' perspective, like after chatting with all of the people that you have, after, you know, doing the challenges that you have, when it comes to perspective and when it comes to seeing other people, when it comes to relating to other people, when it comes to maybe even just understanding other people, how's your perspective changed now after learning all the things that you have, do you think?
Yeah, it definitely has changed a lot. I think it opens up like the bigger picture, really, for me. I think like sometimes you can be sort of stuck in your lane of like, you know, this is me, this is what I'm doing. But sort of once you understand and experience what other people are going through, I think it gives you a much greater perspective of, you know, not only the local community or whatever, but also like, Australia, the world, like everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What about yourself?
Yeah, similar. Like just a lot more open to like everyone's experiences and like how diverse it is. It gives me like a massive appreciation. Like you just said, like being like real lucky when you were younger. Like growing up in Mount Gambier, like super lucky. Like you play footy, like everything's there for you. Like you go to school, it's super simple. And I probably just didn't appreciate that. Which I think as I'm getting older and meeting a lot of people from like different walks of life, like just so appreciative and, you know, doing my best to like understand and be a lot more open to it all. I guess that's.
Yeah. And I think even just like you sort of take for granted a little bit growing up, like, you know, how appreciative or how lucky we were growing up in a supportive family. And, you know, we had, you know, really good mates growing up and good family friends, and you had a lot of people in your corner, and you don't sort of really appreciate that growing up until you sort of look back on it now and you go like, shit, I actually had it really good.
Yeah. And I guess until you've maybe even spoken to other people that might have not, or, you know, have other opposite stories too. Like I would assume like if I looked back on my life too, like, had it really good, but there's not everybody does in the same, you know, like we're not on the same boat really. When it comes to the person, like for the person listening right now, key takeaways out of everything, what is something that you want to leave them with or you want them to really remember?
Have a crack. Like, get uncomfortable and have a crack. I think that's probably my biggest takeaway from any of it. It's just like you don't know what's out there. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. So do something uncomfortable. Do something fun. And because a lot of the time the uncomfortable stuff you do does end up being quite formative, but also it's a lot of fun.
Love it. Yeah. What about yourself?
Yeah, 100%.
Liam?
Took the words out of my mouth. I think just go out there, have a crack. Like, what do you have to lose, really? At the end of the day, if you go out there and you go, oh, it's not for me, then, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't have anything to lose, and just give it a crack. Like, say yes. Like, I think that's one thing that I sort of tried doing a while ago. Is just, don't stop saying no because you think it might be uncomfortable, you might not like it. Like, what do you have to lose? Give it a crack and get uncomfortable.
And where can people find you guys?
On Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we tried TikTok, but that didn't go well. Usually just Instagram.
Okay.
You can find us.
Sweet. And that'll be in the show notes for you listening, so you can definitely head out there. Thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for sharing your stories as well. I think, being vulnerable is difficult. And if the person listening, I guess my key takeaway is like, give it a crack because you can't always just go out somewhere and be vulnerable unless you've tried really, right? And I think like you've demonstrated that today. Like you guys are out there, you guys are being vulnerable, and you guys are creating experiences for other people to do the same, really. And I think like I commend you for that, really. So thank you for coming on and thank you for sharing your story.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.